Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams, despite your feelings, fears, or past failures. To imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve.
Well, hello, and welcome to this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. I'm your host, Alicia Curry, and on today's show, I have an amazing guest, Miss Judy Hoberman, but we're going to get to that and her in a minute. First, I want to invite you all to check out our website, redcarpetceo.com. Go on over to our website, where you can see more shows from Unleash Your Audacious Confidence, as well as check out our podcast, which is Leading with Audacious Confidence. Do you sense a theme here? We're all about confidence here at Red Carpet CEO. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to alicia360.com, and there you can connect with me on all social media platforms and check out our other websites that we have that around coaching and training and corporate consulting. So you can really dig into all the things that we do around here. But I also want to encourage you to check out the winwinwomen.com store. Oh, not store, sorry, winwinwomen.com. When you go to winwinwomen.com, you'll see the events that they're having globally. You'll also see we have a women's circle where you can join and be a part of these women's circles all around the world to really build yourself up. And you can also go there and check out other show hosts. So here on Win Win Women, we're all about helping women win. And because we're all about helping women win, my guest today is the amazing Judy Hoberman. And let me share a little bit about Judy, and then I will have her come on with us live. So Judy is the president of Selling in a Skirt. Now, if that doesn't scream a woman who knows what she's doing, I don't know what that is. So she's the president of Selling in a Skirt, a company focused on empowering professional women. She's an award-winning international speaker, best-selling author, trainer, and leading authority on women in leadership and sales. With over 3 decades in business, she combines wisdom and humor with her behavior shaping strategies and is often described as transformational. She was a TEDx speaker, as well as the author of 4 books, ladies, 4 books, including Selling in a Skirt, Walking on the Glass Floor, and the 2 other titles we'll share later on in the show. She was named as one of 14 sales pros building trust from LinkedIn and Coach of the Year from Powerful Professionals. Judy's mission is to help one woman a day by following an important philosophy. Women want to be treated equally, not identically. And I'm so excited to welcome to the show, Miss Judy Hoberman.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yay! I'm excited to have you here too, because we have this topic, introversion versus low confidence. Mm-hmm. And so I want to just frame this conversation because so many people confuse the two. So I want you to share with us what your definition or what you see in the marketplace as an introverted person, being one yourself, versus someone with low confidence.
Well, first I want to say that, yes, they're different, but they have similar qualities. So, they do overlap, and that's where it gets a little wonky. So when you're an introvert, you're somebody, and I do say you're shy, you're quiet, you prefer calmness. You don't like to go to these crazy stimulating environments and, big social events, because you sometimes feel drained after you do that. And so the way to recharge your batteries is by spending time by yourself.
Yeah.
That's really what it looks like to be an introvert. Somebody with low confidence is more about lack of self-assurance. They're consistently feeling self-doubt. They have persistent negative thoughts and perception. They lack capability of trust, and they really don't believe in themselves. So you have that self-doubt and the fear of failure and all of that. So it's a little bit stronger of a personality type than introvert. And again, you can decide who you are, what you are, but reality, perception is reality.
Yes, perception is reality. The first time I heard that, I was like, huh.
What does that mean?
It kind of baked my noodle for a minute. And I was just like, it's true. It's so true. Your individual perception is your reality.
Absolutely.
So, there's so many things running through my head. Okay, let me focus and center. You are self-proclaimed introvert. You did a TEDx. You talked about being an introvert in your TED Talk, which is in itself amazing, being an introvert, to stand on that stage. So share two things with us. One, what was that like as a woman, a female leader who's done so many phenomenal things? You've been a speaker, but standing on that TEDx stage is a little different. And then the second thing I want you to start unwrapping for us, what shifted for you personally, being an introvert, into now stepping out and being a speaker and being more in the public?
So let's just start with the TED Talk. It was the scariest thing I've ever done. And the talk was really, really good. It really was. But what I found was I was going to be telling a story I had never told before. So imagine that on a TED stage, that you're going to be telling this story. And the story was deeply personal and really, really difficult to get through. So when I was practicing, and you have to practice. I don't care what anybody says, you have to practice. I couldn't get through the first 3 minutes without bawling. I just couldn't do it. And so one of my friends said, well, how about if you don't talk about yourself, talk about as if it was someone else.
Put it in third person.
And that's really what I did. But in order for me to get on that stage, my friend is NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And so she said to me, you really have to figure out as an introvert, how are you going to get on this stage? And so she asked me a few questions. She said to me, when you think of a TED Talk, what's the very first thing you hear? And if you open any TED Talk, what do you hear first is applause. That's just what you hear. And then she said, what color calms you down? And I said, purple. She said, what are you nervous about? And I said, well, every TED Talk has a theme, and I'm afraid I'll forget how to tie it all together. And then she said, are you going to wear anything that's important to you? And I said, yeah, my wedding ring. She said, okay, so before you get on the stage, I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to hear the applause. I want you to feel you're wrapped in purple. Know you're not going to forget anything, and turn your ring. So what do I think? I think, well, that's the biggest, hokey stuff I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm really, it's not going to work, but I'll try it. And so, you get on this stage. The good part is you can't see anything or anyone, because the lights are so bright. You have to stand in a circle, in this red circle, because part of the rules and regulations are there has to be cameras all around you. And so, so that's okay. So I had said to my husband, do not sit anywhere I can see you, because I won't be able to get through it. But it wouldn't matter. I couldn't see him anyway. So I get on the stage and I do what she said, and I took a deep breath and I did this whole thing, and I start to talk, and like the 3 to 4 minute mark, I felt it coming up, and I knew I wasn't going to get through it. So what did I do? I turned my ring again, and I felt calm, right? At that moment, my husband happened to take a picture of me turning my ring.
Aww.
So that to me, when I got off stage and he showed me that to me was when I released all of this. So it was really interesting, but it was one of the best things I've done. And so if you asked me if I was going to do another one, it would be negatory.
Well, I got one coming up soon, so we'll see.
Yeah.
You talked about purple and your lip, you're like in a pinky purple. And I was commenting in the, before we went live, about your lip color matching your shirt, and my lip color matches my shirt. I'm like, look at us.
Yeah, we got this going on.
We got it going on. And then, so the second part of that question was, like, actually, you know what? Let's first go back, because I want people to be able to understand how to identify that you are introverted. How do you even identify that? And then we'll start shifting. So what are like 2 or 3 things that someone who is introverted can really connect with and say, yes, that's me. I do that.
So I think for one of the things that I definitely do, and I know a lot of introverts do, is they can't go into a room where they know no one without either freezing or starting to get hives or something. You just have that physical reaction.
Mhm.
And so, if you're getting ready to go to a networking event and you already know, I should have said no, I shouldn't have done this. For me, and I was telling you before, one of the things that I do when I know I'm going to one is I go 30 minutes early so I can be there early and people walk up to me. So now I'm not walking into a room of people. I'm walking into a room and the people walk to me. So that's one of the ways I know that I am an introvert. I know I am. I also, I don't like to have conversations that have like big value in front of a lot of people, because I don't want to feel stupid and whatever. And when I went to my husband's high school reunion, he introduced me as one of the most intelligent women he's ever met. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, they're going to ask me something. Oh my God, please don't, please stop talking. Because I just,
How do I measure up?
right, because you just don't know. And so I know that that's another, quality, air
Right.
quote, of an introvert.
Wow. Now, like you said, there could be some bleed between low confidence and being an introvert, because I too remember going to networking events that I would go sit in the corner somewhere. I'm like, I got all dressed up, drove all the way over here, but oh yeah, I'm networking, but I leave there not meeting anybody or talking to anybody, but I went out and I networked. So I know that for me, I do have those qualities, and I looked at it more of I knew my confidence was low. I did not want to talk to people because I was afraid.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fear around it.
Yeah.
In my experience, also, I'm going to add to what you said, being an introvert is also about needing to think through things more than talk things out with other people.
Yep.
So you really do reflect more. You're more reflective internally than externally.
Yes.
Like someone who's more of an extrovert will bounce ideas off of other people to kind of formulate their idea. If you're introverted, you more think through those things yourself before you ever vocalize it to someone else. You need to think through the entire thing before you vocalize it.
Yeah.
So to me, like that's like, if you do that, if you don't want to share anything with anybody until you've actually thought through the entire thing yourself and you feel more comfortable with sharing, that to me is also a quality of an introvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's something that was very interesting to me. When I first started my company and I was going to be speaking, and I was speaking everywhere, I would find that no one, and I'm saying no one, not one person would talk to me until I came off stage. Not one person. And so here I am going and doing all of these talks and everything. But before I would go on stage, I felt like I was totally invisible. But I came off stage and they would say, oh my God, you're wonderful, blah, 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 blah. So I decided, I'm a survey person. I decided to do an informal survey. And the next time I went to speak, I went to different people, not together, but all different people. And I said, when you see me, how would you describe me in 3 words? And every single person, in no particular order, would say that I was intimidating, I was unapproachable, and I was out of their league. And this is before I'm going to speak. So what do you do as a professional woman? You go in your car and you start to cry, because that's not who you are. So then you fix your face up and you come back in, you go on stage, and they rave about you. So I didn't know what to do. So I called my coach and she said to me, have you forgotten you're an introvert? And you have this wall around you, like you're not inviting anybody in. And she said, you have to figure out a way to, do some kind of an icebreaker. And, like icebreaker. Oh my God, I have to do an icebreaker. I have to
Now I got to song and dance. I got to tell a joke. I got to do something.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. But anyway, so the next time I go to speak, I was wearing a pair of my boots. And this woman comes up to me and she said, oh my God, I love your boots. And I had to stop and say, have I already spoken? Because someone's talking to me. And then somebody else came up and somebody else came up. So I thought, okay, well, there's an icebreaker right there. So the next time I went to speak, I wore the boots again. Same thing happened. So the third time it happened, I thought, okay, so I'm going to be like the athletes. They're winning. They don't change their underwear. I'm not changing my boots. And it happened again. And so I realized that I could be talking to people as long as they spoke to me first. And that's when I decided to, make sure I showed up early so people would come and talk to me. But that to me was like the best strategy ever. And the boots became part of my brand anyway, but that's what happened.
Yep. And you wore those boots on the stage, and
I did.
And I've seen you wear those boots a couple other times too. So yeah. and I've noticed that with myself too, that has happened. Because we did a pre-show and I talked a little bit about being an ambivert, where I have these introverted tendencies as well, but I also am very social. So, but I pick my moments. Like I have to pick my moments of when I'm going to be social and introverted. And so I wear red a lot everywhere. And so when I speak, especially, I wear red, and I always wear really great shoes that are red when I talk. And that's also my icebreaker, the shoes. And people are like, you're going to wear that on stage? You're going to, and the shoes aren't always red, but they're always seem to draw attention.
Yes, you have great shoes. But so we could be like sisters because we're the same person. We're the same person.
Mm-hmm. Same person. But I've like seen where it's a confidence thing where I am not stepping out. Like I'm using it as an excuse to shrink instead of stepping into and stepping out, doing something, versus being a trait of mine. So I think that's why I love doing this show, because it's about really identifying when can I actually overcome some of these things that seem to be holding me back and choose a different behavior in this moment. So it's about choosing behaviors. Would you agree to that?
I do, because, one of the things that I do is I set boundaries. And so I know how to say no and not show up somewhere just because a lot of people are going and it's probably going to be fun or whatever, but I know when I can't do that, and I do. So I set my own boundaries for that. But then I also find places that I could go to where I can become more social. But I know when I come home, I have to like recharge my batteries. But I do go to smaller social gatherings without thinking about it, because most of the time I at least know someone. And so that's okay with me. But as anybody else, you also have to know like what your strengths are. And once you identify your strengths and why you do what you do, it becomes a little bit easier. You asked a question before about how did I go from being an introvert.
How do you start shifting? I was just coming back to that question. Yes.
I'm telling you, we are attached to the hip. I think that for me, especially in my sales career, it's very difficult and especially we were selling insurance, and I don't want to say door to door, but you were going to someone's home or someone's office all the time, and you didn't know the person. So I had to talk to myself. I had to, say, this is going to be great and whatever else. But what changed me having to do that was I originally hated what I was doing. And so that doesn't help you at all, because I didn't like it. We didn't get good training. It was nothing. You'd show up, you'd go and do your thing. And I was always kind and polite and professional, but I hated what I was doing. And as a single mom, you don't have many options to do things that, you have to be able to take care of your family, basically. And so I remember, every day I would drop my kids off at school and I would say, oh, I have to drive here. And I have, I mean, really, it was, you're talking to yourself and you talk to yourself more than anybody else. And so I'm filling my head with this nonsense and this negativity. But one day I was getting my kids ready and I looked at them and I said, these are the two most amazing humans in the entire world. And my one and only job is to protect them. And it was like the cartoons where you have the light above your head, it started shining. And it said, oh, well, if I could protect my children, why can't I protect your family and your family and your family? So that day I drove my kids to school and I remember distinctly taking the rearview mirror, turning the mirror towards me and saying, you have the privilege of protecting someone's family today, turning it back and driving. And that was my big shift. That way I remember that distinctly, that all of a sudden after that, I was okay doing this and I was okay being an introvert and seeing people that I didn't know because I had a different agenda now. My agenda was to protect.
Them. Yeah.
And that's all I've ever done was protect people. And so to me, that was the greatest shift I could have made. And my career just took off like, just like that.
And that is so powerful, having that ability to reframe the experiences that you're having, because nothing about you changed.
No.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. It was just that mindset shift in seeing the situation that you're in differently. And that's the power of the mind. That's the power of our mind. Wow. I love that answer. And what you were talking about before, you mentioned that you were one of the #1 salespeople, and we shared that earlier. And that was really the shift that took you to #1. It wasn't more sales training. It wasn't more being, more spectacular, wearing better, brighter, sparklier boots. Just that simple thing. Any other tools that you can share or tips that you can share beyond? I mean, that one like blew my mind. But is there anything else that you can share tangibly that people can look at behaviorally to shift in becoming more of what they want and less of what they don't want, even being an introvert?
Yeah. So one of the things that, there's actually two things. One is you have to be able to visualize where you're going. And for me, I visualize myself like shaking and not wanting to do this. But I can remember the moment I went to my very first conference with, in my industry, and I watched all these people going across the stage. And I thought, I don't know how they do this and da 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 da. But I remember thinking, I can walk across that stage and I know what I'm going to wear. Just like that, I can walk across that stage and all I have to do is do what I do best. And that would be to sell and protect, right? And so there was a gentleman sitting next to me, or I was standing and he was sitting, and I was like this little kid in the candy store, and I'm watching all these kids go by, with their big trophies, because these trophies were so heavy. They're made of, marble and I mean big eagles and whatever. And I remember just looking at him. I had no idea who he was. And I said, I'm going to cross that stage next year. And he said, well, good for you. When did you start? And I said, October. This was December. He goes, that's pretty lofty goals. I said, yeah, I know, but I am going to do this. And every week he would send me a note saying, we're watching you. You're doing great. Because there was a company magazine and I was the last person hired. So I was number 4,000 on the last page. And I watched myself moving forward on the pages. Little did I know he was the CEO of the company. Had no idea, no clue. And every year from that day on, every single year, I always crossed the stage every year, because that's what was important. It was important for me to be able to be recognized. And that was the second piece I was going to say, be recognized for what I did. That was my strengths. I needed to be recognized. I didn't care about the money. Did I need the money? Yes, I did. But that wasn't it. It was not it at all. I wanted to be recognized as doing something that was valuable and important and relevant. And I wanted people to know that I actually know what I'm talking about. And so that was that.
And that's one of the benefits, a huge benefit of the motivational maps,
Yep.
understanding what motivates you, understanding your strengths in the 3 different parts of your mind. You know, we do strengths work where you can understand how your mind is wired to actually achieve success the fastest for you. That's some of the work that you do, some of the work that I do as well with individuals and with groups and with teams and with leaders. And so tell us how people can get in touch with you if someone wants you to speak for their organization or their group, or they want to hire you to coach them or to success.
So it's very easy. Everything is Selling in a Skirt. So it's Judy at Selling in a Skirt is my email, and I'm the only person that touches my email. My website is, guess what? Selling in a Skirt. The only time I'm Judy Hoberman is really on LinkedIn, which is an easy place to get in touch with me because it does say Selling the Skirt at some point, but it just look for Judy Hoberman and it comes up and you'll see everything that I do and all the things we put out, and we make sure that there's content that makes you think, because that's really what you want to do. Just think.
Yeah. And you've written 4 books.
I have.
And I gave the title of 2. We have Famous Isn't Enough, Earning Your Fortune as an Entrepreneur. That's 1. Selling in a Skirt, Pure Wealth, which is 26 Ways to Crazy Profitability, and Walking on the Glass Floor. Oh, all fantastic, fantastic titles. So writing those books, being on stage, speaking on TEDx, all things pointing to success, being the #1 salesperson in an organization. There is no excuse, ladies. You can be an introvert and be a success. They're not, there's a phrase I'm looking for. They're not mutually exclusive. Like you can do both. So thank you so much, Judy, for gracing us with your presence, for sharing all those nuggets and those tips. And if you didn't catch that big bomb that she dropped about shifting your perspective in sales, shifting your perspective in anything, I hope you go back and listen to this again. You can go to audaciousconfidenceshow.com, re-listen to this, and there's so much that you could take away from it, from this conversation. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Any last words, Judy?
No, one of the things I want you to really think about, everybody knows who Maya Angelou was, right? Everybody. I mean, the most amazing woman ever, ever, ever. When she wrote her 14th book, she said, oh, now they're going to know that I'm an imposter.
I'm a fraud, right? I'm an imposter.
Right. So, low confidence, maybe, at that moment, but we all have that. We all have that. I don't care what level you are. I don't care what you do. I don't care how much money you make. We all have that. And you just have to be able to find the way. I always talk about rewinding my tapes. I have to rewind my tapes and I say it to myself. I look in the mirror and go, you are awesome. And if nobody else tells me that, that's okay, because I'm telling myself that, because sometimes that's all you need to do is just tell yourself that, because you talk to yourself more than anybody else.
Yeah. And before, again, we came on air, we talked about some really famous people who are introverts and who have imposter syndrome. Tom Hanks says he has imposter syndrome.
Bill Gates is an introvert.
Introvert.
Warren Buffett, J.K. Rowling, Emma Watson.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling is like, she was a shut-in.
Yeah.
Really.
So look what people have accomplished, and they're introverts, or they have low confidence or whatever. But when you want something and you know your why, sometimes it shifts.
That motivation overrides a lot of things. So thank you again, Judy.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming on and dropping those wisdom bombs on us. And I want to encourage you all, as you're here, to be bold, to be brave, and every day do one thing to step out with audacious confidence, even if you're an introvert. So I'll see you next time on another episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.